So now we have a cube. That's not all that exciting. What I want to do with this cube is I want to parent it underneath the circle controller so that I can use it as an animation prop. But we have a problem. We created this cube and Maya called it pcube1. But if we call this command again, it'll create pcube2. So we don't actually know the name of the object that Maya is going to create. This isn't actually true. What Maya does is, when we call this command, it gives us back the name of the cube it created. And we can store this in something that Python calls a variable. I'll show you an example now. So if I say cube is equal to command_polycube, let me get rid of these old cubes real quick. And when I run it now, I'm running things by selecting them and hitting Control Enter, by the way. If I run it now, I'll get a cube. And if I say print cube, you can see the cube is equal to something. And what it tells us is that the cube is equal to pcube1 and polycube1. That's kind of strange. The reason is pcube1 is the name of the cube, and polycube1 is the name of the Maya node that created the cube. You can see that if I run this again, that now it's called pcube2 and polycube2. This means that every time we run it, cube will equal the actual name of the object. But we don't actually want the constructor. We just want the actual cube itself. So let's say cube shape is equal to cube 0. Let me explain what's going on here. Cube is equal to two strings. A string is a word or a sentence. You can tell it's a string because it's inside quotation marks. The U here just means that it's a Unicode string, and it's something Maya does that we can ignore. So for all intents and purposes, these are two strings inside square brackets. Square brackets means that it's a list. A list is an object that can contain other objects. In this case, it contains two strings. We can access the list and get a specific item by using the square brackets. So we say cube, and then the square brackets, and then we give the number 0. And if we run that, you can see that it's equal to pcube2, which is the first item. Now hold on, I said 0, I didn't say 1. And this is because computers start counting as 0. So when I say 0, I'm actually saying give me the first object. If I was to say 1, and I run this again, it now gives me the second object, because in computers, they start from 0. They don't start from 1. So when I say 1, I'm actually mean 2. It's kind of confusing, but you get used to it. So what I'm saying is give me the first object, and let's assign it to cube shape. So now if I print out cube shape, and I can do this, it'll say pcube2, which, if you recall, was the first object of the list called cube. Now we can do the same with a circle. So let's say circle is equal to commands.circle print circle. So you can see, we create the circle. Again, we call the circle command from the commands library, and we assign whatever Maya gives us back to the circle variable, and then we print the circle variable, which gives us a list of two other strings. The first is the circle node, you can see there, and the second is the construction object. Again, circle is a list. I can show you this by saying type circle. And you can see type is list. And if I want to get the first object in circle, I do circle 0, which gives me NURB circle 1. And if I do type of that, it gives me Unicode. Unicode is a type of string, so for all intents and purposes, we'll just call it a string. Maya makes all strings Unicode because that's how it handles it under the hood. But you don't need to worry about that. So now we'll get circle shape is equal to circle 0. So now we have the cube shape and the circle shape. What we need to do is parent one under the other. So I'm going to use the parent command. But if I use the parent command, it gives us an error when I run it. It says not enough objects or values. So the parent command actually expects two variables. The first is the child. In this case, I'm going to say cube shape. The second is the parent, so I'm going to say circle shape. And we put this inside the parentheses because we're telling parent how to run. We're saying put this under this. So if I run it, oops, I actually never assigned circle shape. So let me run this again. And then let me run this again. And you can see that the cube is now under the circle. This is great because it means I can move the circle and the cube moves with it. But there's a problem. If I move the cube, it can still move without the circle, and I don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to lock the cube's attributes. So we'll go to the channel box, and let me clear out the history here by clicking this little eraser icon so I can show you what I'm going to show you. So we'll right click on Translate X, and I'm going to say Lock Selected. Now this tells us exactly what it did. Except it tells us in Mel, which isn't all that useful, but we can still use it as a starting point. So we know that it used the setAttr command, so we say commands.setAttr. We know that it used pcube2.tx, which is short for translate x, as you can see over there. And we know that it said lock is true. So we say lock equals true. See, so Maya told us how it runs in Mel, and it's really simple to convert it to Python. So if I run this, but let's change tx to ty, you can see that it locked the translate y channel. But hold on, we went through all this work so we wouldn't have to ever actually call the cube by its actual name. And you're right, so let's get rid of this. What we're going to say is we know the cube's name will be stored in cube shape. You can add strings together with the plus sign. So we're saying cube shape plus.ty. And what this will give us, if I run this, will give us pcube2.ty, exactly like up here. This is because strings can be added together with the plus symbol. But I don't want to just do ty, I want to do all the translates. So let's say translate, and then let's run this. And I locked all three translates. Now let's copy this, and change this to rotate, and this to scale. And let's run these two lines that we just made. Now all the attributes are locked, so I can't move the cube, I can't scale it, and I can't rotate it. But I can rotate, move, and scale the circle. So now let's just run through this all together again. Let me create a new scene, File, New Scene. And I'm going to use the double arrows to run everything. And wow, that was really quick. So we have the cube. We can't move the cube. We can't rotate it, and we can't scale it. In the outliner, the cube is under the circle. So we can move the circle, rotate the circle, and scale it, and the cube follows along. But you notice that when we did this, the cube was selected. Wouldn't it be nice to just put the cherry on the top so that we can actually directly select the cube? Oh, I'm sorry, I mean directly select the circle. So we say commands.select, because we're calling the select command, and we tell it to select the circle shape. So now when we run it, by clicking the double arrow, it selects the circle shape, and I can move it, rotate it, and scale it. So in a few minutes, we've gone and created a script that will create a cube, create a circle, we'll parent the cube under the circle, and then we'll lock all of the cube's translation values so that we can't animate on it. And finally, we'll select the circle. Congratulations, you just made your first real Python program in Maya.